Hello, hello, hello. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining me for this evening session. My name is Christiana, and I'll be walking us through a rather interesting conversation around how you, as an immigrant, can use your already existing skill set, your already existing experience, whether it's in NHS or the government sector, to break into a tech role, and of course, to fast track your settlement within the UK. Now, if you're on this session or if you're listening to this recording, whenever you listen to this, I want to assume that you fall into one of the two buckets. You're exhausted, and sincerely, you want to improve the quality of your life through the quality of work that you do. So, one thing that I assure you of is that this session is going to open your eyes to the possibility of what you can accomplish and, of course, the steps to getting there. Like I said, my name is Christiana, and it's a pleasure to be on this side of the camera speaking to you. So let's jump right into the session. So the session is today is brought to you by Amdari, a platform that is intentionally designed to help you get the job that you want through work experience. Now, what that simply means is that if you have checked on job boards before, you're currently applying to jobs, or you know anybody currently applying to jobs, there is a big challenge, and the challenge is that recruiters are no longer satisfied with you just having your diploma, or just having your certifications, or just having that boot camp experience. Now, for them to take a chance on you, they want to believe that you can do the job from day one, and believing that you can do the job from day one entails you being able to create experience with little to no supervision, right? Now, the challenge that most people have is that the experience that is required of you demands you to acquire it through a structured program or through a job. But if the jobs are available and not willing to give you an opportunity, what do you do? Where do you turn to? Right? So Amdari noticed that gap in the system, the problem that many people were struggling with, and decided, you know what? We can create a solution to this, hence the birth of Amdari. Now, it's a 4 month program, and within those 4 months, you get to pick a program of interest across data analytics, data science, data engineering, business analysis, project management, SOC, cloud and app security, and GRC. So you select a program of interest amongst these, and then once you do that, you'll be given the opportunity to work closely with a coach. When you work with this coach, sorry about that. When you work with this coach, they are experts in the field that you're coming in for. So if you're coming in for data analytics, you're going to work with an expert data analyst. If you're coming in for cybersecurity, you're going to be working with an expert cybersecurity professional, right? So all you need to do is just select the program of interest and then select the cohort that you'd love to work with. And then once you do that, everything is as easy as ABC, right? So basically, what we want to accomplish with our platform is we want to change the way people acquire industry knowledge and gain that experience. Now, I want to establish one thing, and if it's you, let's see if this is you, then this session, like I said, is intentionally designed for you, right? So you are a healthcare worker, you feel stuck, you're working long hours. People might assume, oh, you're paid well, but when you consider the cost of living within the UK, you know that you're barely getting by, right? And you feel like you're not being utilized to your fullest potential. So ordinarily, you would want to make a switch. You would want to get other experiences, right? So the whole idea is you feel stuck. You feel like you're burnt out flexibility wise. You don't have that flexibility to spend time with family, to really live out your young days if you're a young person, or to really experience life. So you really just want to break the jinx and experience this one lifetime that you have, right? But here you are as a healthcare worker, and you're asking yourself, so what can I do? What is the opportunity that I have, I'm exposed to? Or maybe you are a civil servant, you work in the civil service, or you work in the government, and everything is repetitive. It's completely repetitive. Yes, you're quite good at what you do. You can manage complex tasks, you can manage operations, you ensure compliance and all that. But it feels like you've outgrown where you are. Flexibility wise, you also dream of flexibility. Beyond flexibility, you also want a situation where you can explore the different potentials that are yearning to explode from within you. But then when you look at your current reality, it feels like it's hard to accomplish, and you're asking yourself, what exactly can I do? You're asking yourself, how exactly can I take myself from point A to point B? Now, if you answered yes to any of these questions, like I have said over and over, this session is intentionally designed for you, right? Now, for Andari, it's not just about okay putting a session together. The conversation we're about to have is a conversation that we've had over and over and over again. And we haven't just had the conversation, we've also been able to replicate the strategies that I'm about to share with you over and over again. And we've seen success stories, we've seen people that we have helped through the process, right? So when you look at our key statistics over the years of our operations, you realize that out of every 10 of our consultants who join our program, 6 are able to land jobs within the first 4 months of joining us. But here's the thing, the first 4 months is basically the duration of the program, right? The work experience program. But guess what? When you're done with your program with us, we don't just end our business with you and say, oh, goodbye, we don't have anything to do with you. No, that's not what we do. When you're done with your program with us, we onboard you to the alumni community, and then through the alumni community, you're further supported. The only thing that ends, of course, are the projects that you get to work on, the projects and the experience that you get to work on, but every other thing remains constant. Beyond that, when we now decide to track the people through the alumni community, we discovered that 9 out of the 10 of the people that we were initially tracking were able to land jobs within the first 7 months, or are able to land jobs within the first 7 months. That's what our statistics tells us. Now, when we also look at the people that have landed interviews, you realize that 85% of our consultants report to being able to land at least 2 interviews within the first 4 weeks of joining us. Now, you might wonder, okay, 4 weeks, is that not too soon? It's actually not, because when you join the program, for every project that you work on, it lasts between 2 to 3 weeks. So what that means is that by the fourth week, you must have worked on 1 or 2 projects, and we usually encourage you to start applying to jobs as soon as you're done with your first project, right? So you realize that when you start applying to jobs, they report, getting interviews. We've had cases where people have been able to land jobs immediately, within the first month. We've also had cases where people land jobs 2 months, 3 months, right? People's timeline are different, but the point is that we've recorded success, right? Now, when we have conversations with the people who have gone on to get jobs, 100% of them, not 99, not 99.5, 100% of them attribute their success to the projects they worked on whilst they were a part of Amdari. And let me just mention this because I realize I haven't mentioned it. The projects you work on are real projects from real companies, right? So you're getting your hands dirty, you're getting that experience that you need to really land the role that you want, right? Now, I'd love to quickly share Laura's story with you. Laura is one of the consultants who joined our program, and within the first month of joining, she was able to land herself a job within the UK. So this is Laura coming. This is Laura.
So yeah, I know you mentioned it before, but can you just talk in specific terms, the things about Amdari or the experiences or the Amdari processes that actually contributed, to the success of this, you landing this role?
Okay, so when I joined Amdari, I was told that within 2 months of joining Amdari, you're going to get a job, because I've been having so many jobs here. And I was like, okay, I wasn't skeptical because I saw the reviews on Instagram before joining Amdari. I was like, let's see how it goes. I wasn't expecting in my wildest dreams that I'm going to land this role within 1 month. I just joined Amdari last month. So this Amdari internship program really helped me, to be very honest. It helped me. And I became very proud of myself. I was able to get some insights into, here in the UK, they would say, oh, it's very difficult for an immigrant to get very lovely jobs, corporate jobs, and all of that. It was very hard to believe. But Amdari helped me see that this is very possible. You can learn whatever you want to. You can get that job. So Amdari has
Awesome.
really, it really opened my eyes to, opportunities and how to get those opportunities, to be honest.
Okay, so that is Laura speaking, but like I said, Laura is not the exception to the rule. She is the standard. We've heard conversations like this over and over and over again. Oh, it opened my eyes to the realities of what was possible, right? So I shared Laura's story with you not to brag, but to show you what is possible for you as somebody who is trying to find out, okay, what's the next step for me? Right now, let me quickly introduce myself because, yes, all I said at the beginning of the conversation was, oh, my name is Christiana. So, my name is Christiana, obviously, and I'm a revenue operations specialist. Now, over the course of my career, I've worked across health, education, media, GRC, and I've also had a brief sting with the HR sector. So what that simply means is that I've had people before and I have recruited, I have poached, if you might use that word, and I have been in rooms, right? Even when I was not the person driving the conversation, I've been in rooms where hiring decisions are being made. And I see firsthand how a lot of people shoot themselves in the leg. People that you would assume are ideal for, the role. You've seen their credentials, you're excited to speak with them, but because they do not know how to express themselves, because they don't know how to position themselves, they shoot themselves in the leg. And you begin to wonder why exactly is this person doing this to themselves, right? So the conversation that we are going to have within the next 30 to 40 minutes is going to open your eyes to a lot of the realities of some of the mistakes that you make in the interview room. You're going to have first-hand experience or first-hand inside scoop into the conversations that happen behind the scene after you're done with your presentation and you have left, right? So one thing that I just want to encourage you to do is to pay rapt attention, and I promise you to be worth your while. So by the end of the conversation, you should understand the transferable skills that you already have because you have transferable skills, trust me. You should understand how the Amdari work experience is structured and most importantly, how we can help you land that job that you want. And of course, you'd also get to know about our special offer that we are currently running. Right now, let's just jump right into the session. I'm ready to start off by deconstructing certain myths that a lot of people hold themselves hostage by, right? So when you have a typical conversation with somebody working in the NHS or somebody working in the government sector, they say things like, oh, I have to start from scratch because I have absolutely no experience. So yes, they understand that, okay, I'm not satisfied with where I am and I want to make my pivot, but I have to start from point one because they believe that recruiters will not value their background. But one thing that you fail to realize is that you already possess domain knowledge. See, as a recruiter, I can train somebody to learn Python. I can teach them how to learn to use some of the tools. But the one thing I cannot teach them is experience, is strategies, how to think, problem solving, crisis management. And guess what? In that job that you have been in, those long shifts, the crisis that you manage, the negotiations that you broker, in that experience, you don't realize the value that you have gotten. The things that you have learned by being on the job cannot be taught, they can only be learned. And it is the learning that you have acquired that is of more value to me than the NHS or the scrubs you're wearing or the documents that you go through, right? You understand operations. And one thing you need to also realize is that things change rather quickly, right? Things change rather quickly. One plus one can equal to two in the academic sector, but in the real world, one plus one can equal to 1,000. And when things change quickly, what gives me a competitive advantage is speed. But for you to acquire speed, the expectation is that you must have experience to recognize patterns. And once you recognize the patterns, you know what to do. So the reality is your experience has given you the pattern recognition that is required to get the job done. The tools, the the hardcore skills, you can learn it, right? So this is the one thing I want us to deconstruct right off the bat. Now, I need you to see that you're already standing on a mountain of value. Sometimes because you have you have normalized what you have done, you have commonized it, if there's a word like that. You don't realize the value that you already bring to the table. You don't realize what you know. And because you don't realize what you know, when you're even called in for interviews, you're not able to position yourself in a manner that gives you the strategic advantage that is required to get you the job. So you might be the most qualified person for the job, but because you don't appear to be the most qualified person, you lose it, right? You lose it. So I want to establish that you are sitting on a mountain of value and you get to see what I mean. Now, when you look at the current UK tech sector, you realize that compared to other sectors, it's experiencing rapid growth. It's experiencing rapid growth. People are trying to see how they can integrate, tech into government, tech into health, tech into education. So it's experiencing rapid growth. And just as it's experiencing rapid growth, the demand is also increasing. So we have 2.1 million active tech roles on field currently in the UK, right? So for you now who works in NHS, coming into this sector, you're not coming into the sector starting from scratch. You're coming with that domain knowledge. Okay, I've worked in the health sector. You, as a tech company, you want to break into the tech sector. So this is how it works. This is how we handle situations. This is how we organize the wards. This is how we ensure our documents are. Sorry about that. This is how we ensure that our documents are arranged. This is how we ensure that this is done and that is done. So that domain knowledge is of more importance than the technical knowledge, like I established earlier. And when you look at the statistics, you realize that 40% skill shortage within data and analytics. So this is across the data ecosystem, whether it's engineering, science, or analytics, right? So there's really a high demand. There's a high demand for people who understand the sector, not just for people who understand the tools. You understand the sector, not just the tools. So we can teach you how to use the tools, but we can't teach you how to understand the sector. And again, you are standing on a mountain of value if you just open your eyes to see the reality of what you already have. Sorry, sorry about that. Now, when you look at when you see 2.1 million jobs are left on field, you begin to ask yourself, how is that even possible? Because you and I know that there are a lot of people trying to fill jobs. So how is it possible that 2.1 jobs aren't yet filled up? Now, you need to see this from the side of the recruiter. You need to see this from their own lenses. And many times when recruiters are looking to hire people, there are certain questions that run through their mind, and I'll just like go through the five major questions that I have gone through, and I've also seen the people that have hired people go through. And it is, can you do the job? That's the first thing. Can you do the job? Not what school did you go to, what's your background, but can you do the job? That is of most importance to me. And I'm able to determine this looking at your past experience. I'm able to determine this looking at your proof of output. I'm able to determine this looking at the reference letter that you receive, right? So can you do the job? That's the most important thing to me. And let me just mention that it's not to say that, okay, um, having a certification or going to the school or maybe the experience that you've gotten at the NHS is very important. That's not the case. It's just to say that you need to realize that these things are the foundational knowledge, right? But I need to know that you can do the job. I need to know that you have the experience, right? So that I don't need to bring you on board and then start. I don't want to teach you. I don't want to handhold you. I want to be sure that you can do the job with little to no supervision. Now, the next thing I need to figure out is, will you fit in? Right? Will you fit in? Yes, you're coming from a different sector, good and fine, but will you fit in? The way things are done in the health sector or in the government sector might be different from the way things will be done within this sector. So, will you fit in? That's the question I need to figure out. As an immigrant, will you fit into the culture of the land? Will you fit into the culture of the organization? Right? So, that's another thing I need to determine, because if you make any mistake in cultural integration, it might lead to a legal battle, which of course I do not want, which of course I want to believe that no recruiter wants, right? Now, the next thing is, will you cause problems? Will you cause problems. I wouldn't want to bring somebody who is problematic. I wouldn't want to bring somebody who makes their colleagues uncomfortable. I wouldn't want to bring somebody who is a know-it-all, right? Because if people end up resigning because of your insufferable nature, you can't do the job alone. So I need to be sure that I am bringing somebody who can take accountability and really work in a team. Now, are you worth the cost? Are you an addition to the team or are you a cost? Like I've mentioned over and again, you are sitting on a mountain of value. So it is now your duty to show me how, oh, the experience I got, working as a nurse, the experience I got working as a care worker, it plays into this reality. And because I am here, I can help you to accomplish A, B, C, D. I want a value addition to the team. I want somebody who will join and by joining the team helps us to improve our revenue, even by the least 1%. If your presence in the company improves revenue by 1%, it's something. It's something. Because here's the thing, hiring people is expensive. Trust me, it's rather expensive. So if I'm going to spend money to hire you, I need to know that I would yield a better return on investment. And of course, I need to also realize that, or I need to see that what you want and what the company wants is in alignment. So I need to realize that what you want and what the company wants is in alignment. So when you see all these things, you quickly realize that I did not mention any hard skill, right? I didn't mention any hard skill. Beyond the can you do the job, the other ones are easy peasy. Right, the other ones are easy peasy. These are things that you already have. Okay, will you fit in? If you worked in the health sector, I want to believe that you should be culturally integrated into the system, or even in the government sector, you should be culturally integrated into the system. Will you cause problems? Of course, you have worked with teammates, you've worked with patients, you've worked with people coming to the council. So I want to assume that you are good with teammates. Return on investment, of course, if you can tap into your wealth of experience from your past work, from your knowledge or your domain knowledge, in the industry that you're coming from, of course, you'll be an addition, a value addition to the team. And then obviously, if you align with what the company wants, why not? Right? Why not? So these are really the things recruiters look out for, right? Variations to this or exactly this is what recruiters look out for, right? So saying, oh, I don't have any knowledge. No, you do. You do. Right now, I would love us again to listen to Darlington. Darlington is another consultant who joined our program and was able to use the knowledge that he got, the experience rather that he got to land himself a job. So let's just listen keenly to what he has to say.
So congratulations, Darlington, on landing the role as HC Selection and Implementation Lead. That's the job title, right?
Yes, that's the job title, yeah.
Amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
It feels really good. The important part is you get to apply what you know. The knowledge we've been able to acquire seems to be nothing if you can apply it to a real world problem. So that's the most important part for me and what I'm excited about.
Amazing. So how would you say the experience at Amdari helped you land the role, like from the projects you worked on to the types of mentor you had and all that? How would you say that really, really contributed to you landing this role?
Well, in the interview, my background is data science and sales. So this role is more like a business analysis role. It's a mixture of different bits, but they were not looking for someone who was a business analyst per se, a project manager. They were looking for someone who had a bit of data science background, project management, business analysis. And funny enough, I had never heard of, I had never done anything from business analysis till I got to Amdari. And while I was there in the interview room, I was asked about things like mapping and how you scope the whole process. Just give us a rundown of what you would do if you were to start this role. I just used everything I learned at Amdari. I spoke about the process, the to-be processes, the project charter, basically the terminology and the knowledge of what I learned at Amdari played a part in that interview. I seemed to be the person that gave them a clear idea of what they are going to achieve in a 1 year period. because they didn't know how to go about it. So they needed someone who was close to what they were looking for. And um my knowledge from what I'd learned at Gary played a huge part in that interview, to be honest.
Okay, let me pause here. Let me pause here. He said something that I really want to piggyback on. He mentioned how his experience. Well, first thing he said was that prior to joining Namdari, he didn't have any experience in business analysis, but he joined Namdari, and then he got the experience through working on projects, right? And his knowledge of what he did at Namdari helped him to ace the interview. He went on to say that it was during the interview that he now told them that, okay, this is what we can accomplish within 1 year. That is Darlington, right? Now, why did I re-emphasize that? You, how do I put this? You need experience, right? You need experience. Now, for you, Darlington was even more disadvantaged than you. For you who has domain knowledge, right? For you who has domain knowledge, you're now getting experience, maybe working on hands-on projects, seeing how okay things are now done here, realigning things within this new ecosystem, this new tech ecosystem, right? What that does that it gives you an upper hand, it gives you an added advantage. So I how do I put this? I'm playing Darlington's video for you to see that it is possible, right? The possibilities beyond the fact that okay, this is how Amdari helped him. I want you to open your eyes to the possibilities. The next person I would love you to hear from is Jerry, right? The next person I would love you to hear from is Jerry. Now, for Jerry, of course, he didn't come from the NHS or the government sector, but he, came from the academic sector. And when you listen to Jerry, you get to see how, sometimes it's not that you don't have the knowledge, it's that you don't have relatable experience. So let's just quickly listen to Jerry.
All right. So congratulations once again, Jerry, on landing the data analyst role in the UK.
Thank you, Mom.
So he doesn't. Okay. So yeah, so before Amdari, right, I'd like to know, because this is like something that most newbies in tech, people transitioning into tech face, right? It's a very familiar challenge, which is the struggle of, the biggest struggle pretty much of a newbie. So I'd like to know essentially what was the biggest struggle you faced or the biggest challenge trying to land a job in tech or trying to transition into tech newly?
Okay. So thank you very much for that question, Mom. So well, for me personally, and to be honest, so the biggest challenge that I would say that I had at that time was relatable experience. Like, of course, I know that a lot of people don't have experience, but mine is just experience that interviewers can relate to. That's what I never had at that time and all of that. Yeah, so because back forward to Hamdari, so of course I did a couple of some analysis, but not industry related analysis. They were in the academia. And I could remember that a couple of interviews that I attended, and then one of the interviewers told me that he has never seen anybody as passionate as I was when it comes to data, because I spoke at length. But all the project I was giving, they could not relate to it. Like they were lost, because these were analysis I did when it comes to environmental data. This is someone coming from environmental studies, and all the project I was giving them the environmental data, so they couldn't relate to it. So for me, so even when it comes to applying, so one thing I realized that I didn't have at that time was experience that recruiters could relate to, industry experience, and that was actually the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Okay, so for Jerry, he already worked in the data ecosystem, the academic field, right? However, when he wanted to make his transition into the business world, into the tech world, he didn't have experience. So passion was not enough. Passion wasn't enough, right? Did he have that fundamental knowledge? Yes. Did he have the foundational skill set? Yes, but he did not have relatable experience. And because of that, he was being passed over, right? So it's not to say that how do I put this? The issue is that you do not have relatable experience, but it's not that you need to now start from scratch or you're at a disadvantage point. For Jerry, all he needed to do was just he got his own job opportunity 2 months into the program. So all he needed to do was to just get himself exposed to how things are done, right? So I think I would say it like this. For Jerry and even you listening to me, the one thing that you need to understand is the process. That's the only difference between where you are and where you want to get to. It's the process. The foundational knowledge is the same thing, but the modus operandi, the way things are done from in one industry and the other industry, may be different, and that is why you might not be getting the opportunities that you want if you have started applying, of course. So at this point, what you need to now do is familiarize yourself with the way things are being done within this ecosystem, right? So at the end of the day, I just want to, re-emphasize that you need to stop surviving and start thriving, right? It's okay at this point to admit, I want more. It's not that you're not grateful for the job that you have. Of course, you're rather grateful for the job. It helps you pay your bills. But you want more. You know what you're capable of. You know how you feel when you're done from the shifts, the lights go off, your head hits the pillow, and before your eyes close and then you drift onto dreamland, you know how you feel. You know that I want more. As soon as you wake up early in the morning, even before you step out of your bed and then you want to start preparing for the day, you know how you feel. You know that yearn within your heart that I want more. Not because you're not grateful, but because you know you were made for more, essentially, right? So the truth is that the tech world opens you up to more flexibility. Spend time with friends, spend time with family. If you're a new parent, to really spend time with your kids and watch them grow, right? Of course, the pay is also commensurate when you compare it with the current cost of living. You don't want to keep working hard and then living hand to mouth or through scraps, right? You're just barely getting by. So it's commensurate. And of course, your expertise is being explored, right? You know, one thing about the business world is that things change rather quickly. So today you've learned this, tomorrow you learn another thing. So things change rather quickly, right? So your expertise is being explored. Now, when you now look at, getting settlement, you can't discuss this without looking at the current salary threshold for people who want to get, say, visa sponsorship. Currently, with the new laws that have been instituted, the minimum threshold is 41,700. Now, you and I know that 41,700 is rather on the high side. And for you to get this salary, the expectation is that you must be providing value to the economy. You must provide so much value in terms of your skill set and the knowledge that you bring to the table that an employer is willing to pay you this amount, right? They are willing to pay you this amount for that minimum threshold. So you don't really have, I don't want to say you don't have a lot of opportunities, but looking at where you're starting from as an NHS worker, a government worker, the natural course of action should be maybe, a tech career, right? Amongst other things, of course, amongst other things. But right, you explore, okay, this is where I'm coming from, this is where I'm going to. But a tech career gives you that rewarding experience that you want. The possibility of you getting paid 41,000 or within the range, of course, higher than 41,700 is very, very possible. It's very, very high. We've had a number of people, countless number of people who have been able to land jobs, visa sponsored jobs within the program, and their salary is between 41 to 50,000 pounds a year, right? So it's possible. So a tech career, it opens you up to that financial stability that you want. It opens you up to the visa sponsorship that you want. And also, if you're on that job for a period of time or a period for the stipulated number of years you're supposed to be on that job, it also helps you to fast track you getting the settlement that you want, right? Sorry about that. It helps you fast track you getting the settlement that you want. Now, I would love you to listen to Pedro. He got himself a visa sponsored role. So let's see what he has to say. Oh, sorry about that.
Thanks so much, Pedro, for doing this with us. And congratulations on landing the cybersecurity role. Is it SOC or what's the job title?
It's OT security specialist, but more of OT security. So it's cybersecurity, but in operations technology.
Amazing. And it came with visa sponsorship, correct?
Yes. Role
Yeah.
has.
Let me do some confetti, imaginary confetti. Congratulations.
Yeah,
All right. So I would like to know how your experience, right, the work experience at Amdari helped you go from being a job seeker to becoming job ready, right? From the mentorship to the project. How did the work experience help you go from being a job seeker to being job ready?
Okay, so for starters, in my IT career, I've been more of a lone wolf. I like to study on my own, do my certifications, and But moving to the UK, I realized I had to change. I knew I needed some form of mentorship, and that's how I stumbled into Amdari. And yes, the program helped. It provided some guided mentorship that helped me determine the road that was suitable for me and how to navigate to the next chapter. I was already in employment, but I knew I needed to pivot. And yes, the Amdari experience was very important, and it contributed to me landing this new role.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you very much, Pedro. So what specific aspect of this internship would you say helped you ace your interview?
Okay. For starters, Amdari helped. They have several services. I think the very first one I opted for was the CV rebuild. That is very, very important. And after the session, my CV got a lot better. I knew I was getting a lot more interviews, but I was really picky about the companies I wanted to join. So the CV rebuild was very, very good. And when I did get called for this interview, they also helped with interview preparation sessions. That was very good. That's put me in the right place to answer, to predict questions that were going to be asked, and that really helped to land the role. Then the experience with Amdari was amazing. We had I was in the SOC analysts cohort. We dabbled into several projects ranging from SIM analysis, we're building VMs and doing malware analysis. And yes, I mentioned that during my interview, and yes, it really did help.
Okay, awesome.
Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, we've had a lot of people who have been able to land themselves visa sponsored roles, one of which is Pedro, and that's why I played his video. But beyond the projects that he worked on, you also get to see that he spoke about something important, something that many people overlook, and which could possibly be the reason why, despite the wealth of experience you have, you're not being given an opportunity within the job market. And it is, having a CV, an optimized CV, having an optimized LinkedIn, and of course the support he gets during the interviews when he had them, right? So he spoke about how yes, the project helped him, but also the interview prep session that he went through helped him to tackle some questions that he was asked during his interview, right? So beyond the project, you're also exposed to a wealth of employability support, a wealth of them. And it's really important for you who is looking to break into a new industry, right? So there's really I wouldn't want to say there's no shortcut. There's a shortcut, but there's no shortcut, right? So even if you have the experience, even if you work on projects, even if you're able to translate what you can do into value for the company, how can they know that you exist if your first impression is lacking? Now, what do I mean by first impression? Your CV, your LinkedIn, and your first impression in the job market. This is what people meet before they meet you. So if it does not speak the language that they want it to speak, how exactly can they understand what exactly you are saying, right? So now, let's say you're ready, you want to make your transition. How can you make this transition step by step? So the first step is one, you need to map your experience. You need to figure out what career path you want to break into. You need to see how, okay, what I did in the past, this is what it relates to. So you need to map your already existing experience to a particular tech domain. The next thing, you need to get experience, right? You need to acquire experience. This is very important. Experience helps you to translate what you have done in the past with what you can do now. So you need to get experience. So you could get experience through the Gary Work Experience program. Of course, that is why we exist. And then just as you get the experience, you also need to build. You need a portfolio to showcase what you have. You're working on projects, good and fine, but those projects are not useful if nobody knows about them, if nobody sees them. So you need to build a portfolio, work on that portfolio, and showcase that portfolio to people who will most likely use that to gauge whether or not you can do the job. And then, last but not the least, you need to apply. You need to apply. You cannot put in all the hard work and you're not applying to opportunities. It's so important that you apply. Very critical that you apply to job opportunities. It's very critical that your CV is optimized, your LinkedIn is optimized. It is very important that you apply to the job opportunities. Now, let's look at an untapped gold mine, because I've been saying, oh, how do you map? How do you map? Now, let's look at, say, the NHS workflow, right? You have hands-on understanding of complex patient pathways, which translates directly to agile methodologies and IT project management execution, right? For health data, you have extensive patient records, and then provides the exact structural understanding for excel in a data analytics role. So you understand how that data that you have translates to value for the patient. You understand how over a given period of time, if you're getting this data within the hospital, then it is telling a story. So you understand how to tell stories with data. So if you already have that foundational knowledge, then it should be easy peasy for you to become a data analyst. Then for compliance, right, you've already navigated the strict UK public sector regulations, reforms, and perfect strategic foundation for cybersecurity and business analysis, right? So you understand the importance of compliance, you understand the importance of timing, you understand that, okay, if you don't do things when you're supposed to do it, or if you don't do it how you're supposed to do it, you could, of course, have some issues which could lead to financial consequences. So you already have that, your mindset has already been primed in that manner. You already have that foundational knowledge. Of course, this is just like a tip of the iceberg. For you have to sit down and start asking yourself, okay, what exactly do I have, and what exactly do I want, and how does what I want translate to something that is out there for me, right? Now, the beautiful thing about the current UK requirement is that UK government has told us what exactly they want, the skill set that they want. Now, if you've not heard about this website, that's the UK government website, which I don't believe you've not heard about it. You should explore the eligible occupation codes. Now, this list gives you the list of occupations that the UK government is open to sponsor, is allowing sponsorship, and the ones that they are not exactly allowing sponsorship. Now, you can see that its role can either be higher skilled, medium skilled, or ineligible, right? So depending on which is which. Now let me look for, okay, Control F. So if you put data analysis, sorry, data engineering, you can see that for business analysts, you have data architect, data engineers, you have IT business analysts. This is higher skilled, right? This is higher skilled. Then if I go down, okay, that's how they count it. You can see data scientists, higher skilled. Now let's look at intelligence analyst, is also data science, higher skilled. Now let's look at cybersecurity. I see, higher skilled. Take note of these numbers. Take note of this number, where you can see that it is higher skilled. Now, on my end, what I have done for you is that I have, taken note of the numbers, and I have put them here, so you can check out, the different career paths that we offer at Amdari, and the sub occupation codes to see which is which, right? So the truth is that if you already have the foundational knowledge, trust me, you are above a lot of people applying to jobs. I know you're seeing here, if you've completed courses, right? Whether you've completed courses, of course, your background in NHS, your background in government, in the government sector, you are better than more than 70% of the people out there, because the truth is that you already have the foundation. All you just need is translation, right? All you just need is how to translate what you did in your career path or in your past experience to the current career path that you are interested in, right? Now we still have Betty. Betty was a consultant who was with us last year, and she was able to land herself a job as an IT business and project manager. You can, when you get the slides, so the slides will be attached to the description on this course. So just check the description section and you should see the slide. But yeah, so for Betty, you can see that she was able to land herself a role. We still have the likes of Sandra, who was able to land herself a role. You can watch her video through when you get the slide and then you click on this link. right? So long and short, how exactly can Amdari help you? I've spoken a ton about, okay, this is what you have, this is what you need, but how exactly can we help you here at Amdari? So basically, we can help you accomplish three things. One, you're getting the UK work experience. Two, we're helping you tailor your CV, your LinkedIn, your interview prep session. We're helping you tailor your employability to the demand in the market. And of course, we also help you with, we've gone into partnership. Let me not say help. We've gone into partnership with a platform that helps you with your job application process, or expedites, let me not say helps, expedites the job application process. So by the end of 16 weeks, you should have experienced 6 stages of growth, right? You should have experienced 6 stages of growth. And let me just mention that we don't expect that you start applying to jobs by the time you're done. We always encourage that you start applying to jobs as soon as you're done with your first project, and then you are consistent, right? You are very consistent. So it's not that, oh, you need to wait till you're done with your program before you start applying to job opportunities. Now, our next cohort starts on the 6th of June. But before we dive into when the next cohort starts and what it entails, let's just walk you through how the Amdari Work Experience program is structured. So, like I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, the projects I work on are real projects, and these projects last for 2 to 3 weeks. So, when the projects are given to you, you work with a consultant and a specialist. You work with other consultants and a specialist. So if you're coming in for cybersecurity, you're coming in for data analytics, data engineering, project management, your specialist will be an expert in the field, and then you get to work with other teammates. Because let's be honest, there's absolutely no job that you get to work on that you don't work with people. So it is crucial that you get that hands-on experience of how to work with people, because you cannot learn in isolation. Now, when you work on these projects, the end of every project is marked by a stakeholder presentation, and during the stakeholder presentation, your coach gives you real-time feedback on the project you have worked on, and if there's any correction that needs to be made, you are told about the correction and encouraged to implement it. You're also given the guidance on how to make the necessary corrections required, right? Now, this is very important because the deliverables that you create from every of the projects that you work on should find expression in your CV and your LinkedIn and your portfolio. So it is important, sine qua non, necessary, vital, crucial, right? Whatever adjective I need to put there, but it's very important really that your deliverables meet up to industry standards, because if people now see the deliverable that you put on your CV and it doesn't make any sense, it really doesn't tell good of you, and it also does not also paint Amdari in the right light. So it's very critical that your deliverable meets up to industry standards, and that is why we have the session, sorry, the stakeholder presentation and the correction session, right? Now, aside from that, you are also entitled to CV review. You're entitled to links optimization. You're taught how to navigate the UK job market. You're entitled to an interview prep session. So for every time you have an interview coming up, you are entitled to an interview prep session. And of course, you also receive a valid work reference letter when you need it, right? You're going to hear briefly from Tony, but you receive a job reference letter when you need it. And of course, you are also entitled to on the job support. So yes, you've landed the job and you're quite excited about the job that you have landed, but unfortunately, you're scared of making mistakes. So you need somebody to work with you and ensure that okay, you get all the guidance that you need. We are here for you, right? So even if you're done with the program, as long as you need that guidance, we will always provide it. All you just need to do is send an email or through the alumni community, send a message, and you will get all the all the you get all the support that you need, right? Now, aside from that, you're also entitled to a portfolio, right? You're also entitled to a portfolio. Now, I would love you to briefly hear from Tony as she speaks about the reference letter that she got from Barry.
And the reference too from your hand was pretty tight, because they actually had to mention it that my references were hair tight, that they were actually considering two people, but my references actually nailed it for me.
Amazing. That gladdens my heart. That really, really gladdens my heart. So, last question. So, if you were to speak to somebody who is on the fence about joining Amdari, whether or not they should proceed with enrolling, what would you advise them to do? What would your advice be?
I would advise them not to hold back. In fact, I've been an advocate of Amdari. I've actually brought in 2 people into the program. I've spoken so highly of them, and then wherever I go, even I remember there was a situation. Okay, an incident that happened. I went for my driver's license in the state where I'm in now. So, and I got talking with the person attending to me, and he was like, "Oh, so what do you do?" I said, "I'm a project manager." He was like, "Oh, he's always been interested in that." It was an opportunity for me. You people are not paying me, but I am advocating for you. So it was an opportunity for me to give him your website. You should check you guys out. You're pretty good. And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." This was just yesterday. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do that." I'm so excited. So it's been, I would encourage anyone. You're not going to regret it. The fact.
Okay, let me just pause here. So that is what Tony had to say beyond the reference letter. That was really what I wanted you to hear. But this is what Tony had to say about her experience with Amdari. Right now, if you'd love to join our next cohort, you are in luck because we are currently running a 25% discount. So our program goes for £800. However, through the discount, you can secure your spot with £600. Right now, with this £600, you are entitled to everything I have mentioned during this session. You're entitled to every single thing: the guidance, the support, the reference letter, the LinkedIn optimization, every single thing. Now, by joining Amdari, one thing that we guarantee you is that we are going to support you. We're going to work with you for as long as it takes for you to land the job that you want. We are ready to work with you for as long as it takes, right? Aside from that, you also receive lifetime career support from us. So it's not a situation of, oh, we are done with you, why are you coming back? No, through the alumni community, even after you've gotten the job, we are here for you, right? And of course, the reference letter that you heard Tony speak about, you are entitled to it. Now, let me just briefly walk you through how you can accomplish that, right? Now, if you click on the enrollment link that will also be shared in the description, you select a program that you're interested in. For the sake of this demonstration, I will just go with data science. When you do that, you click on apply now. And when you click on apply now, an enrollment link will show up. So it's loading up. An enrollment link will show up, and through that enrollment link, you'll have the opportunity to see the payment options that you have. Now, let me mention that you're also given a further discount. So I know that I said that we are currently running a 25% discount, which allows you to pay £600. But guess what? If you're going for the full-time payment, you have the opportunity to secure your spot with £500. So we are knocking £100 off the price for you. So this is just, I don't know why it's freezing up, but let me renew this and see if it's going to if it is going to hmm, okay. Okay, so this is the enrollment link. I believe it has opened up. Yep. So this is the enrollment link, right? So through this enrollment link, you can see that if you decide to go for the full payment, okay. Let me come back here. It brought me back here. Okay, great. So if you decide to go for the full payment, you get to pay £500. If you decide to go for the installment option, you get to secure your spot whenever you're watching this video with 200. Well, this video is being this session is taking on the 30th of May. So if you watch this between the 30th of May to say the 5th of June, you're entitled to this, or rather, this is the payment structure you'll be working with. But if you're watching this anytime later, I'll encourage that you click on the clarity link within the description so that you speak to any of our consultants and get to know the payment structure that we currently have in place. But yes, now because you're currently in the UK or if you're in the US, you select the cohort you want to join. That is, we have the June cohort and then we have the July cohort. So you can decide to either go for June or July, and then you either go for US or the UK. Select the payment option that you'll be going for. For the sake of the demonstration, I'll go with the £600. That's the installment option because it's quite the full payment is quite straightforward. Now, when you do this, you proceed to payment. And let me just mention that a pop-up will come up, and on that pop-up, you're expected to put in your information, right? When you put in that information, if you realize that okay, the information is correct, you check if your information is correct, and then if it's not correct, you edit your information from here. And then from here, it's quite straightforward. You just confirm that your information is correct and that you have read the terms and conditions. If you haven't, please kindly read the terms and conditions and then click on pay now. Once you click on pay now, you will be taken to a Stripe page, and then from there it's as easy as ABC. So that's really it about how to secure your sports. And this is me saying a big thank you for watching till this point. Right, this is me saying a big thank you for watching till this point. We've gradually come to the end, and I hope that you received value for your time. Now, before I round up the session, I just want to mention that if you want to secure your spots, check the description. You'll see the enrollment link. And then aside from that, too, if you want to speak to anyone on the team, a consultant, a career coach, please, you'll also see in this description, book a clarity session. So use that link, it's a Calendly link, book a time slot and show up for the session. And we'll be happy to speak to you. You might either speak to me or any of my other colleagues. And I promise you that we will be more than excited to not just speak to you, but to guide you on the next step forward. And let me just say, just as I began, that you are sitting on a mountain of value, whether you know it or not. It is only important for you to open your eyes and realize the value that you can translate into the tech ecosystem. Okay, so till next time, this is me saying goodbye.